am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
Athletic enough to get to any ball. And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
So he reached double digits. The big question has been answered.
It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
The steal of the draft is Will Taylor to the Texas Rangers in the 19th round after he signs with them.
We'll see what happens during his career. It's important to keep his Scotty around, Chris Middleton. It's important to keep his Dennis Rodman, which I believe is like Drew Holiday, another important defender, a guy who's a team builder. And maybe that's PJ Tucker. I don't know who's the Dennis Rodman of the team.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like, good job, Manfred. You won't get many of those for the rest of the year.
And you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. There's no way. There's no way.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people. Not 2006. You already took your math shot.
Well, it's also like you think, oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. Just because you bought the best vacuum doesn't mean the floor is going to be not dirty.
And then you have the Diamondbacks. And then Giants, I have them above the Rockies because I don't have any idea what the Rockies are doing.
Sam Bennett's someone I really expected to be a better player.
There will be a Rodgers playing for Green Bay, even though he may not be the quarterback. But it's still unknown there. Austin is giving me the dead stare, so I guess don't mention Aaron Rodgers to him right now.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
I agree 100%, and the reason why I agree is because this is a terrible trade for the long term.
What would you have said if I bet you $100 at the end of the round robin and start of the playoffs that the Stars would be in the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup finals?
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions in the Week for August 29th. Make sure to check out our other Opinions in the Week for August 29th. Let's start with the Olympic news, as the NHL announced they will be going with the schedule because they released two schedules, one without Olympic break and the one with an Olympic break. And the main reasoning is they promised the players during CBA negotiations that they would try their best to let the players go play with the Olympics. Am I right, Austin?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll give my thoughts and then you can give your thoughts. I understand people want to represent their country. I'm more looking at it with how the past two seasons have gone with the injuries and just fixing the schedule because the season starts October 12th. So, and it's going to be a 3-week break, and I think they're just going straight back into it. So I would have liked to give them a better rest because the season ended 2 or 3 months ago.
The season ended in June, I believe.
Okay.
So that'd be 2 months ago?
Yeah,
well,
it would be.
Yeah, 2 whole months, August, July. We're at the very beginning of September, so 2 months basically.
Okay, so it'd be around 3 months when the season starts. If it's October.
Yeah, probably less than 3 months because I believe it was the end of June.
That's not the traditional off season, correct? It's like a 5-month or.
Maybe the season went into July. I know for a fact that the NBA Finals. No, I know for a fact it went into July. It had to. It had to. Yeah, it did. It did. The season I think ended July 9th.
Oh,
that's my guess.
Close.
July 10th.
You were so close. July 7th.
So I was 2 days off. So yeah, July, and that was the last game, right? July 7th.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
21. When the Tampa
Bay
Lightning won.
Yeah, so that's less than 2 months from today. That's in 2 days. That'd have been 2 months ago, and so it's basically 3 months and 5 days, give or take. But it's not enough for these players who hockey is a different animal when it comes to what they do on the ice. It's even different than football. I know how quarterbacks, they never really get hit anymore because if you fall on a quarterback, it's a penalty. Well, that's not the case in hockey. As long as it's a clean check, you can absolutely destroy somebody. And you're blocking the puck, especially for the goalies. They're moving around for so long. They're in the entire game. Um, I do think it'd become dangerous, especially if the break isn't too long, and for teams that go very far. So most likely Canada and the USA are meeting in the final again. Most likely, Sweden has something to say about that. They probably had the best defenseman core with guys like John Klingberg, Victor Hedman. I couldn't speak. Rasmus Dahlin. They have a lot of guys that are there that are very good. But I believe USA and Canada, even though they're in the same pool, will still make it to the final. But yeah, so if the break isn't long enough, I feel like teams with heavy Canadian and US, which is every team has a high amount of Canadian plus US players, it's going to be tough on their bodies, especially for teams like Tampa and Montreal who made it far last year. So it's gonna be tough. We'll have to see if it works out or if injuries plague the NHL.
And you also have to factor in COVID precautions. Just like last year, the Stars also had Snowmageddon, but wasn't it? They only had 2 days off, or was it every other day during the week? Because like near the end, you're gonna try to put in a bunch of games.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that we failed to remember, but it's been less than a year since the 2020 championship. I saw yesterday that they remember the Yoel Kiviranta goal that was scored yesterday a year ago. So that was remember the second round. That was a second round Game 7 goal, and then the Stars played Vegas and then they lost to Tampa in 6. So the season didn't end till almost. Did it go? I think it went into October.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
gonna
it
guess
did.
October 15th. Now I'm gonna look it up.
October 15th sounds right. I'm gonna have the same guess as you. Normally we don't
Let's
do
do
this, but
this.
October 15th sounds way too
I did
close
not
to.
look this up. Oh, the playoffs began on August 1st and concluded on September 28th.
Mm,
So close.
so close. But yeah, so they did 2 seasons in 1 year, and the preseason for the NHL, I think, starts September 23rd.
I think earlier because I was looking at it.
Yeah, you can fact check me. I thought it was September 23rd. It may be earlier than that.
September 25th. So you
Dang
were
it.
close.
I was that's but again, September 25th, the third season starting before the first season ended a year ago. So the season starts in preseason, and the NHL finished their last season, 2020 season. Oh my, that's just crazy.
Yeah, so that's my thing with the Olympics. Like I totally understand, and I'm definitely gonna be watching it.
I feel bad for Tampa, who's been to 2 straight finals, even though a lot of people hate them now because of that salary cap thing. You still got to feel for the players. Um, Corey Perry. Corey Perry's old. Corey Perry's not young, and he's been to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals. And if he does go to the Olympics, which he probably won't, but even if he does, even if he doesn't, that's only 3 weeks off. That's and now he's on Tampa, a team that's probably going to make it far in the playoffs again. I mean, wow. Let's just say that's a lot of hockey. That's a lot of hockey.
Yeah, that's a lot. So let's talk about some player moves. Jesperi Kokanam. No, I practiced it.
Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
So close. I was so prepared, and then I just butchered it. But he um, accepted the offer sheet by Carolina. So Carolina gives up a first this year and a third next year to Montreal. Now Montreal lost depth down the middle, and Carolina gets a good player. What are your thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, so the Canadiens decided not to match. Kotkaniemi accepted the offer sheet from Carolina, and the Canadiens had a week to match, and they decided not to, and that allows a $6.1 million contract, which would have gone in even if the Canadians accepted it, to kick in with Carolina. Now that Carolina probably gets, I'm assuming with that paycheck, he's going to be a second line center. However, he probably should be a third line center at this point, as he's not proven to be enough defensively and offensively to be a top two center in this league yet. But with $6.1 million going to one player, I do think that it's probable that he starts on the second line. But yeah, because of that first and third, I know this is the next thing we're going to talk about. They traded for Christian Dvorak, that first round pick. Whatever one is higher meaning closer to number one. So I guess lower. But between Montreal's first round pick and the first round pick given out by Carolina, will go to Arizona, and the Montreal Canadiens pick up Christian Dvorak, a better defensively sound and probably a better center overall for less money. So even though they had to give him a first round pick, they had already gained a first round pick, and there's also a second round pick going over to to Arizona this year, I believe. I think it's this year's second round pick. You need to check up on that. It
You're
may be
probably gonna
next
be
year's
right
second round pick.
because Arizona has a ton of picks this year.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's a 2022 or 2023. 2022 would be this year's. 2023 would be next year's. But I know they get a first and a second for Christian Dvorak, and Arizona's future, I think, is going to be bright as long as they can hit on the majority of these picks.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the Arizona, which next year is supposed to be a deep draft, and given how hopefully everything rebounds from COVID, they'll have a lot more information. So Arizona is doing what Oklahoma City did is doing in the NBA. So I have the trade pulled up. Montreal. It will receive the higher of Montreal's two
Yep.
first round picks in the 2022 draft and a second round pick in what year did you say?
I said it could be 2022, 2023. I couldn't remember.
It's 2024.
Oh, so it's not next year, it's the year after.
Yes.
So, okay. I knew they got a second and a first. I just couldn't remember the year. But yeah, I think this is a perfect trade for Arizona as they lose the cap. They don't even get any cap back, and now they get more picks. So as long as they hit on the majority of these, I think in 5 years down the line, they could be a really good team.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about the beef that we could see with Carolina and Montreal when they face off next season? Because of
Yeah,
Aho?
sure. So Kotkaniemi, obviously, I think was offer sheeted in response to the Sebastian Aho offer sheet back in 2019.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, that's good memory. But yeah, so obviously the signing bonus for Kotkaniemi was $20. So the number for Sebastian Aho was 20, and then so I see it as payback, and I don't know, maybe Montreal hits back in the future again, maybe not, but Montreal is going to get at least a third round pick for themselves now, and they obviously got Christian Dvorak using that one, and then the second round pick in the future. So uh, I like to pick up by both teams. Carolina, even though they lost Nedeljkovic, should still be a quality team, and as long as Christian Dvorak isn't injured, I feel like he could be a great second line center for a Montreal team that's looking to repeat the same success they had last season.
Yeah, and it's a key thing because defensively, he's a better defensive center than Kotkaniemi, and they are going to be without Weber for a very long time, so that helps. So we're going to talk about which injured goalie will teams miss the most if a team doesn't start the season without them. We are ranking between three goalies: Carey Price, Ben Bishop, and then Tuukka Rask. Those are the three goalies we're ranking. I will let you rank first.
So I'd also like to mention before the goalies that are on each other team. So the Stars, with Bishop being hurt, they obviously still have Hudobin, Holtby, and Ottinger. The Canadians, with Price, if he doesn't start the season, still have Jake Allen and Caden Primo. And the Boston Bruins, if they don't start the season with Rasmussen, will not start the season with Swayman and Olmark. So my rankings go as follows. Kevin, before we started to air, said that we most likely will not have the same picks. I don't know if that's necessarily true. We'll see. I have Price at number 1. I have Bishop at number 2, and I have Rask at number 3. We'll see what happens. I don't expect Price to miss the first game of the regular season, but if he does miss, I do think that'll severely hurt Montreal, even though Jake Allen is a quality backup. Bishop, they've already picked up a lot of goalies, but I feel like he's still important to the team. And then Rask, Swayman, and Olmark are still really good. And Boston's already historically a great defensive team anyway. So I feel like they can help those guys out more than the rest can.
Yeah, you and I did not agree. That's how I thought you were going to put it. You were going to put Price number 1. I put Bishop number 1. Price is second. Rask is third. We both agree on Rask because I feel the Bruins are more prepared. Canadians, I think, are better prepared than the Stars because they protected Allen. That was a huge thing, and so that's why. And I don't know when Bishop's going to be back, so he could miss the majority of the whole season again. We don't really know. Like, it's so ambiguous right now. I think Carey Price will come in, so I think Allen can sustain the load better than the Stars. So that's why I have Bishop at number 1, because the Stars, you do have Ottinger and you do have Adobin and you just signed Holtby, but I'm wondering who is going to be the starter. I have a feeling they're going to put Ottinger as starter, which is what worries me.
I disagree. I feel like Ottinger is going to start in the AHL.
Really? You don't think?
Yes, I think they signed Holtby for Holtby to be the starter, Hudobin to be the backup, and Ottinger to start. And then they're going to trade the worser of Hudobin and Holtby, have Ottinger come in to be the backup. And when Bishop gets back, I feel like Ottinger will go back to the AHL, and it'll be Holtby or Hudobin and Bishop.
Really?
As a tandem.
I think I do not see Ottinger going into the AHL at all. I think he is here to stay. So that's and I think they're trying to trade Hudobin is my thing. I think Holtby is supposed to be there, and then they'll just. So that's why I have Bishop number 1. I think that takes more precedent over Carey Price, even though he will be dearly missed. But I think the Stars will miss Bishop more, and then you have Rask, where I'm not worried about the Bruins as much. So, Stars are also a big defensive team. So they rely more on their goalies, and that puts a lot of stress. So that's just why I have Bishop at number 1, then Price, then Rask. Any final thoughts?
Not really. I'm surprised you had Bishop 1, but it makes sense. Hopefully Bishop doesn't miss the entire season. Hopefully Price gets back by the start, and hopefully Rask, if he does decide to sign with the Bruins, he'll get back in enough time to get ready for the playoffs. But all three of these teams have either it's kind of crazy. All three of these teams have been to the finals within the last 3 years. Boston made it 2019, 2020 was the Stars, and then 2021 is Montreal. And we kind of see that those long playoff runs kind of result in injuries to their goaltenders. So maybe that's why I'm surprised Vasilevsky survived so long. But we'll have to see if that continues to be a trend or if goalies can stay healthy. And maybe with how rushed the seasons are getting, we could see more injuries like this take place.
That's very true. Excellent points you make. Also, you heard earlier in the episode, Austin was like, he has a good memory, or he's proving he had a good memory. If you really want to know how good of a memory he has, go listen to the NBA Opinions of the Week from last week. I doubt any diehard NBA fan of any age would know the guy that Austin mentioned and could list the teams that the guy was a part of. Austin only missed one, by the way. So, Austin, you do have a good memory. Just wanted to point that out. And go listen to the NBA episode. So, thank you for all the listeners, and have a great day.